everyone, this is Lemony Day. It's that time of the year where you are wrapping up and reflecting on the past year and making new resolutions for the new year. And I know that a lot of you out there would have this particular goal in mind. Read more books in the new year. I've had a couple of friends asking me how I find time to read and what they can do to read more books. So I thought to make a video out of it to share with you all. Now, before I begin, I would like to confess that though as a kid I had been an avid reader, I haven't been reading that many books since college. I made excuses and life was busy. And it was just so much easier to just turn on the TV and watch Netflix or YouTube for a quick entertainment after a busy day of work. However, I would get nostalgic with reading from time to time, going through these cycles of phases where I would pick up a book, get all excited about it, wondering aloud why I haven't been doing this more, and that cycle would last maybe a week. And then I would move on to the next phase where I would just drop the habit, forget the joy, and go back to non-reading life. I would repeat the cycle a couple times a year. Now this year I have read 25 books. I know it is not a lot. There are people out there who read 50, 100, 200 books every year. However, I try to keep track of all the books that I read. And a couple years ago, there was this one year when I read only about 5 books per year. That was a dark year. As you would agree, 5 books versus 25 books, I have come a long way. So what changed this year? Of course, most obviously, there has been a pandemic going on around the world. And like everyone else, I've been spending a lot more time at home alone. Taking advantage of more free alone time, I tried to build a consistent reading habit. And I was able to rekindle my love for reading and realize just how much I have missed reading. I feel my life this year, despite of everything going on, has been enriched with more reading. And I want to share how I established my reading habits and 5 realistic tips to read more in the new year. Remember, these are what worked for me, so please feel free to pick and choose whatever works for you. Tip number 1, read 10 pages before turning on that TV. If you are like most people, myself included, you watch a lot of Netflix and TV shows and YouTubes. Don't get me wrong, it is an easy, fun entertainment, and I'm not saying you shouldn't be watching TV or you should watch less TV. All I'm saying here is just make a small commitment to read a few pages before turning on that TV. What you are unintentionally doing here by following this routine is that you are stacking a reading habit to an already well-established TV watching habit. I said 10 pages here, but it can be less, it can be more. So at the very least, you will have read a couple pages of your book before you lose yourself in your favorite TV show, which I fully support. Tip number 2. Break down the goal into smaller, achievable goals and keep a habit tracker. It's great if you already have a New Year resolution to read 12 books, 24 books, even 100 books in the upcoming New Year. However, it is easy to lose your motivation if your goal is too big, and it is rather difficult to get back on track, say in June, after falling off the wagon in February like a lot of people, including myself, because you would feel like you have failed already for that year. To keep the motivation up and make it easier to get back on track, even if you derail a little bit, Break down your goal to small, achievable daily goals. For example, if your goal is to read 24 books in the new year, that translates into about 2 books every 2 weeks, with a little bit of buffer room because there are 52 weeks per year. An average novel is about 240 to 300 pages. So if you plan to read about 20 pages per day, you will achieve your goal. 20 pages per day sounds a lot more manageable than 24 books per year. I like keeping a monthly habit tracker to see how I am progressing. Even though we all like to think we are this complicated life forms, we are actually pretty simple creatures prone to psychological manipulation. Simply seeing a streak in the habit tracker can give you an odd sense of satisfaction and motivation to keep up the good work. This is my minimal reading tracker for your reference. It doesn't matter if you use an app to keep track or a beautiful artsy habit tracker that flows with your creativity. Anything will do. The best side effect of following this tip may include building a daily reading habit, and the minimum page reading requirement will become what it is, the minimum, and you will end up reading more. Now, moving on to my third tip, have a good TBR, to be read list. I didn't realize that people often struggle to pick a book to read until a few people told me that they want to read more, but quite frankly, they do not know what book to start with. I personally never have this problem because I have a never-ending TBR list, which I will probably not finish in this lifetime. So when I finish a book, I always have books lined up to be read. Now, mind you, I have an ISTJ personality and I like keeping lists of things, and I often go overboard with most of them. But I honestly think that having a TBR list can benefit every reader. If you don't have a list and would like to have one, but don't know where to start, I would suggest you take a look at the bestsellers list at the bookstores. They are bestsellers for a reason that most people who read them end up liking them. I would not blindly follow the bestsellers list, however. I would recommend you at least read the back cover for a quick synopsis to see if you would be interested. You can also totally steal from someone else's TBR list or book recommendation list. A lot of public figures out there have a book list. Oprah has one, Bill Gates has one, Mark Zuckerberg has one, everyone has one. Just Google them and browse. Other fun source for book recommendations would be a friend or a family member who just loves to read. Just simply ask them what they've read recently that were good. Maybe tell them about a book you really liked in the past and ask them to make recommendations similar to that book. Personally, I like getting recommendations from friends and families because they know me well and they kind of know what I would like. And also, they get really excited talking about books they love. And those types of excitement are contagious. And as you read more and more, you will figure out what types of books you enjoy the most and will learn to recognize which new books you will likely love. Whichever way you choose, have a TBR list ready so you waste no time in between books. Tip number 4. Read multiple books at the same time. Now, this is a new reading habit I've developed as a grown-up and I stand by it, but I also think that this may not work for everyone. As a kid, I had a lot of time to read, to be frank, I had a longer attention span to sit down and finish a book on the spot. Now, I only find pockets of time here and there, and my ability to concentrate for a long period of time is questionable at best. So I like reading multiple books at the same time to keep me interested. I often read 2 to 3 books at the same time, often a mixture of both fictions and non-fictions. I like reading non-fiction during the day when I have more mental energy to digest the material, and fiction to unwind and relax at night times. My reading speed is different for every book. Longer for non-fictions that are dealing with less familiar concepts, and shorter for most fictions. You know how sometimes you feel stuck with this one book because you're progressing so slowly, but you do want to finish it because you think it's a good book. And because you still haven't finished this one book, you can't possibly start these other more interesting books. Well, having multiple books to switch back and forth simply just gives you more choices and freedom and a sense of less stuckness. I just made up that word, I think. And a sense of more achievement. If you have not tried it, I highly recommend you give it a go and see if you like it. Tip number 5, read by multiple means, including paper books, ebooks, and audiobooks. Before I elaborate on why I think you should read by multiple means, I would like to first establish my relationships with ebooks and audiobooks. I know that many of the paper book readers out there have qualms about ebooks and audiobooks, and I perfectly understand why and sympathize. But I will try to convince you here why you should try ebooks and audiobooks. I used to hate the concept of ebooks. I was loyal to paper books, and ebooks just felt too digital. I felt that it took away certain important aspects of the reading experience. The smell of the paper, the feel of the paper on your fingertips, and the quiet sounds of pages turning. I actually got my Kobo ebook reader for the sole reason that I could borrow and download the ebooks from the local library, and I used to live far away from the library. It also didn't hurt that I didn't have to buy and own many physical books because I used to move a lot in my 20s. And I slowly fell in love with my ebook reader. I still love paper books over ebooks, but an ebook reader does offer certain advantages when it comes down to portability and optimal lighting. Now, audiobooks. This was definitely a lot harder for me to get into. For me, books were meant to be read, not be read to. I have read a few audiobooks in the past few months, and my verdict is that it can be quite excellent for certain books, but definitely not for all books. I personally think it is awful for most nonfiction books, but it can be pretty amazing for a lot of fictions. Of course, this really depends on the narrator, but I found that an audiobook can add an interesting dimension to the book and the reading experience overall. And I think I almost prefer it over reading it myself for certain books. Now, I only read audiobooks when I'm engaged in other activities that are not really using my brain. For example, when driving, doing the dishes, when folding clothes. So basically when I'm doing repetitive activities that do not require much of my mental energy. I also like to listen to audiobooks before bed, and I'm not sleepy, but my eyes are tired. Reading by various means can translate into more reading times. You can find pockets of time here and there throughout the day to read, depending on how much time you have and what you are doing. For example, for commuting, an ebook is an excellent choice as it is light and portable. And if you're driving yourself, audiobooks are awesome. And of course, paper books are always a pleasure to read if you have a longer period of time to read under a good lighting. Ebooks are excellent to carry around and read outside or during the evening and night times under any sorts of lighting. Audiobooks can be another level of entertainment once you figure out what kind of styles you like in audiobooks. So that's it. Those are my 5 tips you can use to read more in the new year. If you have liked any tips that you will be trying in the new year, please share below in the comment section. And if you've enjoyed the video, please hit like and subscribe button if you haven't already. I definitely have more tips to share, so if you would like to see more of these types of videos in the future, please let me know in the below comment section as well. Thanks for watching the video, and I wish you all a happy reading New Year.